Man United's quandary: how do you solve a problem like De Gea? Dean Henderson is currently Man United's no.1, which puts the club in a bind. What do they do with their highest paid player in David De Gea? David De Gea was Manchester United's biggest asset when he signed a new deal in 2019. Now, just over a year and a half on, the Spain keeper could become one of their greatest liabilities. That is not a characterization of his performances. De Gea is not the impenetrable force field that he once was in front of United's goal, and his consistency has certainly suffered since agreeing new terms, but he still has a reasonable claim at being no.1 at Old Trafford. De Gea's problem is that so too does Dean Henderson, and the academy graduate is stating his own case after waiting patiently for the opportunity. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, though, cannot keep his two stoppers auditioning indefinitely. The United boss has done well to juggle for this long without having to make a call, but decision time is looming. And the signs point towards Henderson as the keeper Solskjaer will hang his cap on. So what do United do about De Gea? The Spain stopper, no longer first choice, is unlikely to sit on Solskjaer's bench all season, especially when United's Champions League participation will severely restrict the minutes available to their cup keeper. For De Gea in stunning form against Roma. At @DDeGea @manutnumberulpic.twitter.com GJH8XEHD03, UEFA Europa League, at Europa League, May 11, 2021, and De Gea would be wasted as a perma sub not used. But for the Red Devils, it is not as simple as deciding to sell the Spaniard and send him on his way after a decade of stellar service. Who would buy De Gea? The market for goalkeepers this summer is sparse. Given the choice, De Gea would doubtless prefer to return to Spain. But Atletico Madrid, his former club, are in safe hands with Jan Oblak, while Barcelona and Real Madrid are already fixed up, which is handy given they are both Brassic. Keylor Navas, the keeper United were willing to take from Real in part exchange for De Gea 6 years ago, has just signed a new deal at PSG, which prior to that seemed likely to be the only club on the continent who could afford to keep De Gea in the manner he has become accustomed to. Which is United's problem. De Gea is currently on Alexis Sanchez money. His contract now is beyond the means of any club on the continent outside of Paris. Perhaps he might sacrifice some of his £375,000 a week to go back to his homeland to settle with his partner and baby daughter. Otherwise De Gea, quite reasonably, will expect to be paid the full £19.5 million over the duration of his deal up to 2024, regardless of his status in United hierarchy of Gloveman. The Glazers and Ed Woodward will not have that. If their highest-paid player's primary purpose is as a feeder in the pre-match kickabout, they will look to move him out on loan in the hope of clawing back as large a slice of his salary as they possibly can. But United would still have to pay De Gea 65% of his wages, even if another club was willing to pay the remaining amount required to match the salary of the Premier League's next highest-paid no.1, Kasper Schmeichel. Which of United's rivals need a keeper, regardless of whether they would want to pay for him? Talk has persisted over Everton looking for a stopper, but they are already liable for Jordan Pickford's £100,000 a week deal. Arsenal? They want a keeper, apparently. Again, though, could they make room in the squad and on the balance sheet, regardless of how keen they are to pack off Bernd Leno? Financially, De Gea's demotion would put United in a bind. Which, in the absence of an unlikely patsy, could only be averted by not demoting him. Selling Henderson would be far simpler. Woodward and the Glazers were probably cursing De Gea's decision to return to Spain on paternity leave, which opened the door for Henderson. Prior to that, they stood to make an easy